Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. I want to go back to something that I was just talking about in the last video up in Massachusetts. I've entitled this particular article, Babies Don't Vote. Again, ChristianHeadlines.com. Because last week in Massachusetts, the state Senate overrode the veto of Republican Governor Charlie Baker by a vote of 32 to 8. They did this one day after the State House overrode the same veto, 107 to 46. Democrats control both chambers. He vetoed House Bill 5179 that expands the state's abortion law to include late-term abortions, striking down an old law that required doctors to save the life of a late-term baby who survives an abortion. The question becomes why? And my opinion is because unborn babies don't vote. Mothers do. The new law reads, quote, "The Commonwealth shall not interfere with a person's personal decision and ability to prevent, commence, terminate, or continue their own pregnancy." The question becomes, what about a person's personal decision and ability to rob a bank? It too is against the law. Shall we change that law? Or purposely kill a baby after it's born? How many laws are going to be altered because of human behavior? The behavior of immoral people being the dominant course. Will our court system acquiesce? Medically, morally, the fertilized egg in a mother's womb is the definition of life. What was simply a piece of potential human life or humanity has now met up with another piece of potential humanity to create the beginnings of a human life. You leave them alone, you get a baby. The medical scientific community is unanimous in this diagnosis. So what's the problem? The problem is we want to have sexual intercourse, we just don't want to pay the dues. We want the joy, the pleasure of sexual intercourse, but not the potential purposeful product and the attending responsibilities. Now, we have options. We can abstain from sexual intercourse until we're married. When you're married is when babies are expected. We can also use protection. That way we can postpone conception until we are married. And we can use self-control, waiting until we can or want to have that baby. Critics are calling the bill the infanticide bill, and technically that's exactly what it is. Specifically, the law loosens restrictions on abortions of 24 weeks or more so that women can obtain a late-term abortion in order to, quote, "preserve the patient's physical and or mental health," end of quote. The U.S. Supreme Court has defined health in terms of allowing an abortion for virtually any reason. It loosens restrictions so nurses can perform abortions of less than 24 weeks. That's 5.5 months of gestation. It allows late-term abortions for the lethal fetal anomaly, or if the fetus is incompatible with sustained life. And it removes the law from the books that said a doctor shall take all reasonable steps to, quote, "preserve the life and health of the aborted child" in case of a late-term abortion. Now, I've told you before, I'll tell you again, I have a grandson who was born in less than 5.5 months. He's 17 years old, he's 6 foot tall, and he's healthy as a horse. He has a hearing problem, and he has some other issues. Nothing to keep him from living, growing, learning, and being a productive human being. Thirdly, the new law requires a late-term abortion to be performed in a room with life-supporting equipment. It does not require the doctor to actually use it. Why the life-supporting equipment? Well, because the child might actually survive. And if it does, then it's a viable human being entitled to all the benefits that brings, meaning life. So if you extract what we call a fetus and perhaps do it in such a way that it destroys the life that's there, or it just doesn't survive, then it's okay, you throw it away. But if that next one comes out and is still kicking, what do you do? Today, in abortion around the country, perhaps around the world, they kill that little life. This law also removes a parental consent requirement for minors aged 16 and 17, meaning that they now have the legal rights of an adult in this manner. Is there anything more important in life than this? We don't emancipate these children to make contracts till they're 18, but they can do this at 16. Life and death, they can do. Get a job? Contract? No. It's worthy to note that in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Republican Party criticized Democrats for promoting this bill. In a statement, the Massachusetts GOP noted that the House passed the bill on the day of the Holy Innocents, a day the Roman Catholic liturgical calendar marks as the slaughter of young male children in Bethlehem, described in Matthew chapter 2, verse 16. All of that is called what? It's called irony.